Today we're going to make some totally tubular jewelry. I'll bet you'd never guess it, but the only materials we're using to make these beautiful pieces are paper and pewter.
It's who I am, a little rare, some sour fare, and some mystery, putting it all together, doing what I do, doing what I do.
Hi, I'm Tricia Morris from Club Scrap, and welcome to the show. My good friend Cheryl showed me this beautiful pendant, and I could not resist the temptation to figure out how to make one for myself. It's the perfect marriage of paper and beading, so let me show you how easy it is to make. The first thing we're going to start with is the stamp set from Club Scrap. This is the Time and Space collection, and this is a great collage image that will make the perfect background for our tube-shaped bead. I'm inking this with clear embossing ink, and then I'm just going to stamp it on some of Club Scrap's text weight black paper. And the reason why text weight is important in this case is because when we roll these paper pieces into tubes, we'll actually need to stitch through them, and if you use cover stock, it'll be too thick and heavy. Next, I'll just sprinkle this inked image with gold embossing powder, and I'll shake off the excess, collecting it in a tray. And there I have my image. It's really already looking pretty good. And then I'll heat this with a heat tool. Wow, that is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, you'll repeat that, so then you'll end up with two embossed images just like this. You'll cut them out of the paper, and then you're almost ready to start rolling some tubes. Okay, here's what you're going to do. Just cut them in half, and then cut them in half again. What that will give you are a total of 8 pieces. You'll need 8 tubes, and these measure about 1 by 2 1/4, but just check that out in the design guide. And next, we're going to get rolling. Now what we have is a dowel, and this is going to help us create the shape of our 2 beads. And I'm taking that little piece of paper that we've cut earlier, and I'll just start wrapping it around the dowel, just primarily to get that nice round shape. Okay. Once you've done that, you can actually take the dowel away and bring the edge of the tube flat again, and then you can spread some Club Scrap's bookbinding glue to seal the bead. It works perfect on any surface, including these gold embossed areas. Use your included little glue spreader. I find this works really well. And then we'll put it back onto the dowel. And now we're working with an embossed surface, but the bookbinding glue still really works well for holding this paper into place. Once you get it nice and round, just push down a little bit onto the seam. And then you can even use the dowel as a stabilizer to maintain the shape of the tube. And very, very quickly that glue will begin to bond, even though it's a raised, glossy surface. And there you have the perfect little tube bead. Okay, what you will do is repeat that 7 more times to create a total of 8 beads. And here they all are, all 8 beads ready to work with and create our beautiful pendant. What we need to do is glue them together in a series. To attach the beads to one another, I have a little tip for you. Just drop your bead onto your work surface and let it settle in. Then you know that the bead is going to naturally want to stay flat at that spot. You'll come in again with the bookbinding glue and just put a light bead line of glue along that side. And then you'll test your second bead by dropping it. And wherever it settles, that too will be the spot where you'll want to connect those 2 beads. Now I'm doing this a little bit off center. I'm not lining them up perfectly edge to edge. I would like to add some creative dimension to this, so that's how I'm going to do that. Then you'll repeat that again with another pair, and then line up a series of 4. It looks like a little bamboo raft almost. Then you'll need to create a set of 3 beads side by side, and then you'll have 1 left over. So I've already gone ahead and done that. Here are my sets of little bead rafts right here, and the glue is dry. You want to make sure the glue does dry before you do the next step. We're going to stack the set of 3 beads onto the set of 4. So we'll just take some glue, and we'll put a somewhat generous amount onto the bottom of this set, and then just place it right on top of my set of 4. And you can artistically arrange that however you wish. Finally, I have 1 more, the 8th bead, and I'm just going to take a scissors and I'm going to cut it. And then you can take those 2 pieces, apply glue to the bottoms, and then lay them in the seams of the set of 3 beads that you have right here. When the glue dries for that, you'll have this nice little piece right here. And that was the paper part of our project. Now we need to get to the pewter.
Watch it fall around me and shades plum and verdigris.
Now what I've done here is taken some beading thread, about 54 inches will do the trick, and with some left over, and I've attached a needle to one end, and I've tied a pewter bead to the other, just with a double knot. What I'll do next is enter in to the first tube bead on the back. That was your set of 4 on your little raft. I'm dropping the needle in, but it's a little bit on the short side. So by using my wooden dowel, I can bring that needle right through to the bottom side of the bead. Then bring your thread through, and you'll have a tail on the thread, so just place that right into the tube and then pull it tight. Now, as you're working here, you want to maintain tension on the bead that you just attached to the end of your tube. The next thing you'll do is go and pick up another bead, bring it on the thread, and then re-enter the tube. But our challenge is we have to somehow find a way to get into the one next door. So I'm going to take the tip of my needle and just pierce directly through the back wall of this first tube, and then pull it nice and snug. And then what I'm going to do is turn the pendant around so I can maintain tension on the bead that I just attached to that end of the tube. And I have to find a way to re-enter the tube next door. So I'll just take my needle and re-enter through the back of the second tube and at an angle, and that way I just come right out the top. Now again, I'm using text weight paper. That's what makes this possible, plus the fact that I'm stitching from bead to bead is almost going to make my pendant stronger because I'm stitching the tubes together in addition to the glue. I'm attaching a bead to my line, maintaining my tension. I'll re-enter through the tube, push it through with a dowel, catch it on the other side, and then pull out the slack. I'll maintain pressure on this bead, pick up another one, and then exit the needle through the back wall of the pendant once again. Now you'll finish adding beads to the top and bottom of each tube in that back row of 4, but then we also need to get through to the second row of 3. Let me show you how you'll do that. It's very easy. Just bring the needle between the back row beads at an upward angle through that bead, and then pull it all the way through, making sure you're holding tension. Add your bead and continue in the same manner, always stitching out through the back of the pendant. Again, those stitches will be adding strength to your pendant, even though it seems like it's a little bit difficult. And also be sure you work with a really sharp needle. That'll make the job a lot easier. So when you're finished, you will bring your needle through to the back of the pendant one more time and secure with a really good knot. Then take some bookbinding glue and spread that whole area with glue. And finally, you can add a self-adhesive pin back, a necklace bail, however you want to wear your pendant, whether it is as a necklace or as a brooch. You can have a lot of fun with this. And it's actually very lightweight because, again, all those beads are made with paper. Now let me show you some other great projects that I made using the same technique. All right, so here are some other fun things you can do. I've taken that same Club Scrap stamp set from the Time and Space collection, and I've used the gear stamp to just completely cover a sheet of black text weight scrap paper left over from my other project. And I've also gold embossed those pieces. That way they all match. And then I trimmed them down to little 1 by 1 inch squares. You can roll these in the same way that I showed you earlier into these little tiny tubes. And if they're too long or too big, you can actually adjust the size by cutting them or by making larger pieces. And then I strung them onto some black cord, inserting a pewter bead in between each paper bead. I just love that combination. They must look like coral or bamboo. Of course, you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to make a pair of dangling earrings. And then I thought it might be fun to make a really big tube, so I took a paper twice the size of the original that I showed you. So this is about 2 inches by 2 1/4. Rolled that into a much larger bead, but I didn't think it would be stable enough to wear as a piece of jewelry. So I just flattened it, punched a hole in each end, and I added my black cord to what I would lovingly call a pillow bead. You can even wear that around your neck as a really attractive choker. So when the kids ask you what you're going to do tonight, you can just tell them, I'm going tubing. Have fun.
To create this project yourself, download this week's design guide. You'll get step-by-step instructions along with special make-it-your-own bonus tips and ideas.